Hi everyone, my name is Bijan Amini-Alavijeh, and before we get started, I'll just tell you a little bit about myself and my work. I live and work in Wakefield, with my studio being about 10 minutes walk from the Hepworth. And for my work, I look at the built environment and photograph different elements such as ornamental features used within medieval architecture, or to look at more pure forms like seen within the Hepworth. These images then lead into the creation of sculptures that use materials like plaster, cardboard, wire, and use techniques that either create precise forms or more gestural experimental forms like I'm going to show you in this film. This is my workshop on how to make a paper mache sculpture inspired by Barbara Hepworth using recycled materials. In preparation for the task, using either newspaper, newsprint or an old sheet, lay this down on a flat, hard surface. For your materials, what you'll need are any recycled materials you can find, for example cardboard, empty toilet tubes and paper to make up the body, masking tape to hold each part together and flour to make your glue. The equipment you'll need are a bowl to mix your glue in, a cup to measure the flour and the water, a fork to mix the glue, some gloves and some scissors. To prepare for when you need the glue at a later stage, using your cup to measure equal parts flour and water, for example half a cup of flour to half a cup of water, firstly pouring the water into the bowl, then sprinkling the flour to avoid any lumps, and using your fork or a stirring stick like me to mix this together until fully combined. So before we start, look at your materials, see what they can do, what is their texture like, how can they be manipulated, can it be torn or bent, what do they look like combined, and what forms can I make from them. Once I've tested these out and thought of these questions, I then start to see what I can make. Thinking of Hepworth's use of positive and negative space, upright structures and curved forms, I mimic this, making a curved base with holes so you can see straight through it. As well, I'm working with this idea of a hole as a form, and make a sphere out of paper and put that on the top to act as almost a head, but also the actual negative space made positive. And then using the scrap piece material just to add more dimension on top of that as well. Now you could leave it at this stage, but I want to use light and shadow to enhance the forms of the final sculpture. So this is where your glue comes in. Using some white paper or newsprint, tear off strips or cut them with your scissors, dip them into the glue, taking off any excess and stick to your sculpture. Repeat this process until you have fully covered the outside, and my tip is using large strips to cover the big areas and smaller strips for the small fiddly areas. This is another example using less materials and simple form. Using just packaging filler, I scrunch this up, twist, bend and manipulate into a form I want, in this case a figure of 8. Using masking tape to tape this together, I then take the newsprint and glue over both the masking tape and the packaging to give a smooth surface. Whilst doing this, I'm playing around with the form to make it more organic, again like something Hepworth focused on in her work. This is the final outcome from the first example shown, and like I mentioned earlier, you can see that the colour of the paper and glue enhance the forms, curves, angles and depth of this piece when playing with the light and shadow. And for those of you that may be sensitive to the flour for the glue, or just don't have the patience to work with it because it can be pretty messy, then here is an example you can make without covering your sculpture with paper and it also be an effective piece. This is the final outcome from the second demo shown earlier. In this, I thought more about the subtle texture in some of Hepworth's works, and I wanted to use natural materials, so I used the flour and cover the main body, which now gives a softer look. And to stand upright, I put this onto a cardboard base. Just to show you how I apply the flour, so using a brush or your fingers, cover the area you want textured, then sprinkle on the flour and lightly shake off the excess. This is another example but using sand and mud, giving a heavy and rough texture to the sculpture. See what materials you can find to create different textures. So, 4 different sculptures that have taken inspiration from Barbara Hepworth's use of organic forms using recycled materials. Now I have shown you what to do, see what you can do. Thanks for watching, now crack on and I hope you have fun.